Beaufort County Board of Education agenda setting meeting on Thursday, January 19, 2023 to order. Our first order of business is approval of the agenda.
Madam Chair, I move we approve the agenda.
I second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. We've approved the agenda. Please now stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Now we're working on setting the work session agenda for Friday, January 27.
Can you see it?
Yes, very well. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, we have our usual things at the beginning. And we're starting at 9 o'clock. And you can scroll up a little bit, yeah. So having looked at this already, one of the, well, I'll just let the committee members and the other board members take a look at the agenda. And we just have it in order.
I
was gonna
didn't put
recommend-
I didn't put it in any particular order.
Okay.
I just listed, so.
So I just think public comment should just say, otherwise people are going to think they can comment twice. I would
okay.
just say discussion regarding public comments. And Dr. R, your accreditation, should there be more there?
I think you can just say district accreditation,
Okay.
update, district accreditation update.
The CRAZE training, I think that's the right acronym. I haven't seen Dave to make sure, but
Okay.
it could be somewhere between an hour and an hour and a half. No more than an hour and a half.
Okay.
What does this stand for?
It's for, it's active shooter training and where the board members should go when we have a meeting in there. So that's the purpose of it.
Okay.
I know.
You know, if something happens, board members have not been trained, you all don't, so that's the purpose of it.
All right. Thank you.
Let's hope we never have to use it.
Right.
So I'll get the right information from Dave as to how to put it on the agenda. He just wasn't here today for me to get it.
Okay. And so let's run through and I guess sort of get a time estimate of the topic. So you just said an hour to an hour and a half.
Mhm.
Yeah. I see Wendy's on the call. So how about the Riverview annual report?
Yes, good afternoon, board members. I met with Director Robert Bechtel this afternoon, and we reviewed the documents that he will be presenting to you. He is available on Friday after the CRAZE training. And so during the presentation, he will present to you the annual report. He will review the financial statements for the fiscal year. He will review the letter from Elliott Davis. He will inform you of the new board members that have been elected and also provide the instructional staff information appendix. So it'll probably take about 45 minutes.
Okay.
And when we met today, we discussed that Mr. Bechtel is going to give an overview, just a little bit of background about the history of Riverview for the benefit of the new board members so that they'll be aware.
Sounds good.
So do
And we
want me
have to
say-
do this annually, right?
It's mandated that the board approve this, and then following the board's approval, then we will send the annual report and documents to the South Carolina Department of Education. That's part of our requirements as a sponsor of the charter school.
All right. And then Dr. Rodriguez, the district accreditation update.
Yes, we have a district accreditation update because part of the accreditation process is also that the board has been briefed on what the process looks like and the process that we'll be going through. So we're going to have an update for you on that day.
And what do you think the time frame?
I'm sorry, that's what you were asking me.
Yeah, but
Okay.
that's okay.
I'd say an hour.
Okay.
Yeah, and that includes probably like 45 minutes of the update, and then that's 15 minutes for questions, that kind of stuff. So I think it'll be about an hour total.
Yeah. Then we have the board discussion regarding public comments. I don't think this is already, has this already gone to policy committee?
Initially it has, and then it came back to the full board, and then it said, instead of taking a vote, you all postponed it to the work session.
I think the key discussion point was, do we respond basically to commenters? And right, wasn't that the gist of
Right.
it? Okay.
Yes, and then how to, word it and what you want to do with that.
So what do you, I don't know. I was thinking maybe 30 minutes, but maybe it's going to be longer than that. Dick or Angela, any comments?
Can we make it last?
Yeah, I agree.
You want me to move it?
Can we make that the last thing we talk about?
Okay, I see, make it last. I thought you said less.
No. Well, I would like to make the public comments less, but
No, I thought you meant the discussion time period would be less
no,
than 30 minutes.
you already. Hey, we don't limit public comments, so next we need to limit our discussion about public comments.
Yeah, there we go.
But let's make it last. Let's
Okay,
end it.
that sounds good.
Mhm.
Okay,
All right, we'll come back to that then. We got
Mhm.
the expansion options and planning for possible 8%. This was yours, Dick.
We need to talk about, if we're going, depending on what the committee results are and what Dr. Rodriguez's decision is concerning the referendum, there's going to be some projects possibly other than Hilton Head Island, which we already have, Hilton Head Island High School, which we already have money in the current referendum to do the design and permitting work. But there may be some other schools that we need to get going on real quick because of capacity issues south of the Broad. And if you recall, 4 years ago, we elected to use 8% money to do the design work for May River and River Ridge Academy extensions. So there's a process of getting the bonding, getting the procurement code, and finding the architects and getting that done so we can have this finished when the referendum passes. We can very quickly break ground and start work. Plus, we need to talk about, in the same sense, about new construction and the timing. In other words, can we possibly do 3 major construction projects at the same time?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a timing issue we need to have at least an initial discussion about. And the committee is going to have to grapple with that. And Dr. Rodriguez is going to have to give us a recommendation. And Robert's going to have to tell us what's the capability of the local employment force to handle 3 significant projects at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And if not, which one do we do first?
Okay, we have Ingrid wanting to comment.
Well, yes, one thing I forgot to mention at our last meeting, remind me if I missed something, but we have not had the 45-day attendance update that we usually get like in November, right? So maybe we could tie that in to look at, if we're looking at expansion and planning and 8%, I think it might also be an opportunity to look at our 45-day attendance numbers and some of I'm not sure when the CIP comes out. I remember last year it was like it came to operations in February, and I think it came to the board in March. But usually both times when I've been on the board, we've talked about the CIP, there was like a bookbinding issue that delayed it. So I don't know, maybe we can get that even a little bit earlier.
Yeah, and years ago, Ingrid, the board members would get that CIP booklet in December, so.
Yeah, and I think that if we're going to have a conversation about expansion and multiple projects and needs and all that, I would love to have that information at the same time.
Good point.
Excellent point. And do you think that's going to be possible, Dr. Rodriguez?
I think they may have, I have to check with Robert. Let me check with Robert that you're requesting that if that book is available, that we have that book out and a conversation on it at the same time as that expansion option. Is that what I'm hearing?
At least a 45-day report.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
So do we want to, I think we should probably put something in that agenda topic listing so people know that. So
Well, expansion options are at the
Cover it.
expansion option discussion.
yeah, okay, all right, that sounds good. So how long do you anticipate that discussion to be? Dick and or Frank?
But if I had to guess, that's probably 1.5 hours, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I would guess also. Ingrid has her hand up again. Ingrid? Oh, just took it down.
Sorry,
Okay.
I forget
No
to
problem.
take it down.
All right. All right. So far we have, I'm just looking at the time here, 3, 4, 5 hours so far. So let's say 9 to 12, it would be 3 hours, and then we'd already have, 12:30 to 2:30. Okay.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I'm trying to raise my hand. I'm struggling with my mouse here. Do you mind if I interject?
Yes, you may.
One thing is, I find that by 2:00 in the afternoon, I'm a little fried in terms of, my capacity to have. Why do we have Riverview Annual Report, which is a fairly passive report on before we have a rather meaty discussion on expansion options? Like, I just feel like at 2:00 you end up, they're like, oh, we've been here for 6 hours. I don't know. Can we maybe move that around?
Because they're outside people and we always just ask, if possible, we get them out first, but you have them where they can come wherever you want them to come.
Well, I need to check Mr. Bechtel because I told him he would be on the agenda after the training. So I need to see if he's available at another time. If that's
Well,
what you need.
He's available in afternoon.
Yeah.
All right.
So where do you want me to move Riverview to?
And just leave it there for right now. We need to see if he's
Okay.
available.
Okay.
But I agree with, I think Ingrid's comment is appropriate. It's a passive, it's a more of an information session. It's not a using your brain and thinking of, coming up with ideas really. All right. So then the next item is the joint board SIC, the leftover list from our December meeting. We when the meeting was designed and scheduled, it was I don't want to say promised, or the expectation to the SICs were that we would cover any of the topics at the work session that had not been covered during the joint meeting. Now the issue is a lot of these, Robin and I and Dr. R talked about these earlier today. A lot of these are really operational issues that, really are not, board SIC topics. So Dr. R, let's just go through these right now, because Robin and I couldn't, like, for the first let's start with elementary school, the first bullet point. Partnership meetings among feeder elementary schools to encourage retention to middle school. Well, this would be a staff thing. It wouldn't be a board thing. So does that already occur?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so, all right.
Yep. Yeah, it occurs, so some cluster and feeder patterns are better than others with it, but
Okay.
but they do have conversations.
All right. The next thing, trauma-informed training for all staff. I assume that's occurring.
Well, there is trauma-informed training for staff. Also, I mentioned the other night, some of the SEL training is to help deal with students dealing with trauma.
Okay.
That's some of that training too. So,
All right, parental involvement, that was discussed at that joint meeting. The after-school programs and partnerships, Robin, did you find the date? That has been discussed very recently with the board. So there's,
It was discussed, but I hadn't had a chance to get to the date because it was taking care
okay,
of
so
something else.
that's also something that's been covered very recently. Then all the other things regarding Whale Branch Elementary here really are operational issues, anthills,
Yep.
playground equipment, crossing guards, bathrooms, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. Teacher assistants in the classroom. That's all operational.
mhm.
Okay. The summer HVAC, they say summer HVAC issues in August when it has been off all summer. Well, that's also operational. Okay, substitute shortage, that we did not mention, I don't think. Is that something that the board and SIC would have a
No, I mean,
joint role in?
at the end of the day, the substitute shortage comes down to the manpower issue. There aren't enough people that have signed up to be substitutes, right? And that's why I end up with a shortage, right? So that's, and we contract that out.
Mm-hmm. So it is what it is. I mean, I don't think we have.
Yeah.
I guess are there multiple contractors that have that business?
So there are multiple contractors that are in that business.
Mhm.
We
That's all.
operate with ESS,
Okay.
And part of changing contractors is the same thing we experience every time we change other contractors, right? Is that the people who are working for this contractor now shift over and work for that contractor, and there really isn't any other additional people, because it's the people who live here that are interested in doing this.
Right.
Yep, you know what I mean? So
Right.
nobody's moving here to be a substitute teacher.
No. Okay.
Right.
All right. The next one was map testing reading, if it can be split into two parts so there's 2 days to complete.
Yeah. Yeah, the interesting, well, I don't know if you want me to have this discussion here now or not, but
No, but wouldn't that be a
operational issue.
So of all those things we just went through for elementary school, do any of them really fall over to be added to the agenda we're working on?
I don't think so, because they all seem operational to me.
Yeah, and Dick and Angela?
I agree.
Yeah, I agree too. All right, so let's go down to middle school. Recruitment and retention. Well, certainly the board has worked on that diligently with and you, Dr. Rodriguez, and your staff over the past year. And once again, it's an operational thing. They're I gotta close my picture here. It's operational because they don't want to. They're feeling.
You're back to the substitute shortage again.
Right.
Really,
Same.
when
Okay.
you look at that whole thing, you're really back to the substitute issue.
Yeah. All right. So year-round calendar. We started a discussion at the joint meeting, and so now, does the board want to continue on this topic with SIC, or any suggestions from? I have my thoughts on it, but I'll listen to you guys and then I'll tell you mine. How about Angela or? Yeah.
I can't cut that.
Big issue.
Yeah.
And I would sure like to have a discussion about it at some length, because I have such a problem with our start time being so determined by the stupid rule in the state statute about when start time can have, and it's always bothered me that we don't have 2 semesters that are not the same length.
Mm-hmm.
And yet the way to get around that is a quote year-round calendar. And I think you can have a quote year-round calendar accomplish our same number of days semester, and kind of, it's a modified calendar, but it's a year-round modified calendar. In other words, it's a way to get around the statute.
Yeah.
We have explored some options on this. Okay. What I can tell you is for this coming year, it is, it's not likely, and it'd be a challenge because of the construction things that are already lined up, and it would shorten the summer this time around.
Mhm.
However, we have explored it in terms of laying it out and what it would look like and that kind of thing. And it's not a year round. We call it a modified calendar because there's still a summer
Break.
gap in there, right? It's just not quite as long, and so there is a modified piece. We've explored it. We have a draft of something, but this is the kind of thing that if you're going to do, you need to run this out into the community and really talk it up and get feedback and do surveys and all kinds of stuff to hear from parents, to hear from the community, the business aspect of it that are going to try to weigh in. That's not my concern. My concern is education, but that doesn't mean there's not going to be that pressure on the system from other areas that you as board members are going to need to be aware of. And so anyway, in a nutshell, it's really not something we could do this summer with the constraints we have around construction and completing the referendum projects this summer, but it is something we have a draft of and that we've talked about.
So perhaps this is something that can go to a later work session, say in the fall.
That's just what I was thinking, Dick, is that it's not, because it's not an option in the immediate future because of what you just said, Dr. Rodriguez.
Yeah.
I think maybe that's what we should say is that, that it has to be delayed, the discussion. Ingrid?
The other thing is at our last December board meeting, Tricia Fidrich brought up a final topic, which was the 4x4. So I'm thinking if we take this on at a fall work schedule, we should look at that too.
Yeah, and I think that's on our, yes, good point. Okay. All right, so maybe Robin, you need to just say, begin discussion at joint meeting and need to delay further discussion at this time due to summer projects, or I don't know, just something like that. So they know why we're not discussing it right now. While you're typing that, I'll go on to the next one. Referendum 2023. I think that has also been covered very nicely by our Community Project Review Committee reporter, Mr. Piero, I believe it was.
Yeah, he did a
at the
great
last
job.
meeting. Pardon me?
He did a great job.
Yeah, he did a really good job. So there's no, it's rolling along, but it's not ready to come to the board yet. The next one is develop pipeline from well-established universities to grow applicant pool, SPED. And I think they do this already. Yes. Okay.
It's just still too expensive for a lot of teachers to live here.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's why we're not getting everybody here.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So it doesn't seem like any of those right now, because I don't see any of the ones under middle school either coming to the meeting on the 27th. Are you in agreement with that, Dick and Angela?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So now we'll go on to high school. Bus transportation, hire more drivers. I mean, it's like the substitute thing. Dick?
We're willing to. We are, yes, the answer is yes, we're willing to.
Yes. Okay.
I heard an issue today about that, but it wasn't at high school, it was middle school, but it has an impact on this. At Robert Smalls, we have transportation for our SPED kids. You got to have a special bus, for wheelchairs and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And at Robert Smalls, they have to do it in a can't be doing it all at once. It has to be doing it a number of different times to get, because of the limited access on the bus and everything. Their first pickup is at 3:45. Their last pickup is at 5 o'clock. Those kids that are picked up at 5 o'clock are just sitting around waiting for the bus to come to make its loops.
Mhm.
Service the folks. That was kind of concerning to me. And you know, maybe that's because of more bus drivers or buses. I'm not sure. It's an operational issue. And I kind of put it on a note for operations committee to look into. And I don't know if you want to open that can of worms at this particular spot.
Angela?
That is concerning to me too. I mean, it takes forever for them to get home. They're there until 5 o'clock. And it's only
Still
one
gotta
bus.
go do the route.
Yeah,
You know, they may not get home till 6 o'clock or 5:45, so.
exactly.
Yeah.
Let me ask this question. Years ago when I was in school, not too long ago, there were student bus drivers, seniors. What happened to that? Did South Carolina not allow that anymore?
Yeah, that went away for a while. That is actually something that's proposed to come back as a possibility. It went away because of liability issues, obviously, around that. And it is being proposed to come back. I don't know what guidelines or stipulations they're putting in there. And I have not seen a final document on that, or we have not had a final communication on that. But at the last superintendent meeting in, I want to say it was November, maybe it was December, they mentioned that they were doing some consideration around bringing that back. But
That would be wonderful because when I was in elementary school, I had a student bus driver, and then there was an assistant on the bus that made sure everybody was seated, everybody was disciplined. That's just how it worked. And I think it would work. We have quite a few responsible high schoolers. We saw that the other night.
Yes, we did.
So I think it would be a good idea to, have them team up and do something like that. I hope it passes. I really do. Whatever we need to do to push that, let us know.
okay.
Yeah, I agree, Angela. We have responsible kids. I think would be great. And let them have that experience. It would be a great experience.
Yes. And I know they'll be trained. The training is going to be intense, but that would be something that they would have to do the summer before their senior year, train during that time, just like if they were getting their CDL, they need to train on how to handle.
They will actually get a CDL.
Oh, see,
Yeah.
a lot of them will jump on that because that's the big thing right now.
Yeah.
So does the board hire more drivers? It's once again, it's an operational issue. We're trying to do that, right? I'm not sure there's really anything to discuss.
No.
No.
It's an operational issue. I think it should be an operations. I think if we can make that an item agenda.
To assign to operations? Yeah, okay. All right, and then the next one I don't think is even maybe a school district issue. I'm not sure what the safety concerns are due to the growth in Bluffton. There's a heck of a lot of traffic, and that's always obviously makes things less safe on the road for everyone.
I think that's what they were talking about is if I recall, I think it was about that traffic safety and all that kind of thing out in the roads. And they were talking about, I thought they even talked about a light over at River Ridge. I know this is under high school, but I thought they even said something about a light over at River Ridge, which is going in place. It's already hanging there. They just haven't turned it on yet.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I don't think we would have, that the ability to, to decide how traffic should flow in Bluffton or whatever.
Yeah.
Or tell the developers to stop building. I mean, I don't think we can, it's beyond our control.
Or contribute more money to hire more police officers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, did you see the article too, that Bluffton is the second safest city in in the state.
Wow, that says a lot.
It does. I think that's good. All right. Next one is larger schools should have more SROs. Once again, we can't even get SROs for all the schools, right?
I can give you I mean, there's a little bit of an update on that.
Okay, so let's bring that one to the
So I can give you an update on that.
perfect. So let's bring that to as one of the unfinished topics, and you can tell us about it.
Yep.
Thank you, Robin. So the next one was this, having cell phones in school. That was discussed.
Give me a second. I'm bouncing back. There you go.
I know you are. Okay. Yeah, that was already covered.
And then the last one is, oh,
Wait, so we got career pathways for students from the traditional pathway, non-conducive for learning. And we certainly have had a number of discussions and presentations, like on the Kate, et cetera.
I think Karen did a great job last time.
Yeah. So we can, I don't know, maybe Robin, not right this minute, but I guess I would just try to find when was the last time that was presented, and you could just put it there so they could look at the video of the meeting. Yeah, perfect. Redistricting. Okay, that's a huge topic. And I think probably best handled after we have a good idea of what's needed with the referendum in terms of if we have new schools, which is likely. I think that is when probably redistricting would be approached best.
The best, consider talking about attendance zones.
I
Yeah,
think that's what they mean. Yeah.
yes,
Attendance zones, and we have significant issues that we're going to have to address.
right,
because nonlinear growth in Bluffton,
right,
and we got school buses crossing one another when kids are bypassing the nearest school to their home to go to their school that they're assigned.
mhm,
Got to turn that around. That's difficult, and it's going to have to be a long-term kind of deal. Once these new schools get put in, that we're going to have to start. Especially, what we're probably going to have to do is say, when you come in, new students will start off at the school they're supposed to be at. And so it might take us 12 years before we sort it all out. But we're going to have to do something without having people change schools. And you know how emotional that is.
oh, yes, yes.
I want to go there.
So maybe we should just have here, that the more appropriate when, once the referendum is finalized. How's that? Yeah,
Our-
Yes,
our-
I have a question for you about students that are attending our schools that are like in Jasper County. How do we stop that? How are we keeping track of that?
We have, we do home visits when we are notified of those situations and when we identify those situations. And then, those students are, sent back to their home school in Jasper County
Okay.
or whatever county they're coming from.
okay,
There's a lot
But
there.
But it generally comes either through a home visit verification because somebody has a ton of absences or tardies and that kind of thing, or it's done through through in conversation. They let us know that they moved or that they live in Jasper County, and then that's how we find out. But when we find out, then we do act on it.
And for those kids that are attending every day and doing very well, we'll never find out, especially if they're using someone else's address.
Yeah, I mean, we check their address. We check addresses, but generally, I mean, that's sort of how the system works, is that if there is attendance or tardiness issues regularly, that's how it comes to light, because the address they provide may be an address that's here. In other words, if they provide us an address that's a Beaufort County address, right? Then there's no way for us to know unless we did home visits for every child in our system, right?
Mhm.
So when we find out that address isn't right, or where there's a lot of tardies or those kinds of things,
Mhm.
then we start to ask questions, and then we check into it, because sometimes those tardies happen because they're not coming from the address they gave us. They're coming from an address someplace else, and that's how it gets highlighted.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, and then the year-round calendar, we already discussed that under, it was either elementary or middle schools. Yeah. All right, so it looks like the only topic that will kind of transfer to this meeting is this one about the SROs.
Yeah.
Okay. So how long would you anticipate that discussion being?
It's a very matter of fact discussion. So I would honestly say, it'd take me about 5 minutes to tell you the story, and then people may have questions, but it's really a matter of fact discussion
Yeah, okay.
about it.
So
So
less than 30 minutes. All right.
yeah.
1, 2, 5. Okay. So then, and now the discussion regarding public comments, and I'm not sure that's probably anywhere from 30 minutes to maybe an hour. I would think it'd be pretty quick, but maybe not. All right. So now let's see the total time. We have 3, 4, 5, 6.5 hours. That's a good long day.
Okay. Yep.
Plus lunch.
Yep.
So do we want to just look at our outstanding topic document that you have, Robin?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, so let's go to especially the work session things here. Public comments, yep. So you can take it off now here, right?
Mhm.
Yep, I'll remove it. Let's see. This is
Okay.
to be removed.
And the expansion one, that's on this one. Go down a little lower. Yeah, there you go. So you could take that off of here. You see it, Robin?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then Dr. R, the other one, you mentioned that the monitoring report, where was that? Go back up.
I had taken that off.
Oh, you taken it off, yeah.
It shouldn't be on there. So I
Okay,
just
thank you.
totally removed it.
Okay, now you can also remove the expansion thing. That should be off.
Yeah. So what I do is I put, when I do the complete, I'll show that they were on, that we covered them on when I do the
Okay,
next.
and look, and the next 4 are all on this agenda, so that's all good.
So what you don't have on there are the 3 things that came out of future topics from Tuesday's meeting and 4x4. So,
Right, and we already talked about the
yeah.
4x4 a little bit, maybe having it with the year-round or modified year-round. Ingrid?
Yeah, I didn't want to take up any more time on the representation of schools and student performances. So I just want to give you a little bit of an expansion on what I want to talk about. We need to find a place south of Broad to have our every other meeting. And to that end, I did hear in the pre-Dr. Rodriguez era, apparently Hilton Head Island IB school created a fairly large room designed to be used for audio video conferencing. And it was so that teachers from Hilton Head didn't have to come to the district for meetings and things if, take a whole day off or whatever. So it's completely set up for that. So I think we should check into that as a possibility. It's got a big screen TV, and someone just mentioned that about something unrelated, but it caught my attention. So there's that issue, but it's also of the last 11 students. So in 2022, there were 11 student performances. 10 of them were north of Broad. 1 was in Bluffton. And I feel like, I don't know where the problem is. I don't know if it's that the south of the Broad teachers aren't preparing student performances or don't want to come to the school board meetings or something, but to me, as someone who's very invested in performing arts, we need equal representation at board meetings for things like that, so that parents in Hilton Head, we didn't have a single Hilton Head performance. They can come to there and see their kids perform at a board meeting as well. So it's kind of a little bit of a larger issue.
All right, so why don't we, oh, go ahead, Robin.
Can I address how that is, the principals or the schools are the ones who, a calendar is sent out to the schools, and this time a Google document was sent out. So the schools are the ones who determine when they want to, and if they want to do it by video or if they want to do it in person, but the schools are the ones who sign up. So it's not solicited from the district. It's just sent out and asked. So
then my argument would be it should be solicited from the district, because we should have people going. Yeah.
I'll solve it.
Yeah, I was gonna say in your principals meeting or whatever.
I'll solve it.
Okay, so, but how about, so I do think on the agenda that we have for the 27th, we need an update on what we're gonna do when the county channel is no longer recording. That's real important.
where do you
If
want
you
it?
need me to, I can find out more about this room over at, but it was set up for this purpose.
I've been working on 2 solutions, and I just got a briefing this afternoon, and neither one of those 2 solutions worked. I had Bluffton High School, and I had the Technical College of the Low Country, the Institute, the Culinary Institute, that nice room that they have over there. Neither one of those work. The Culinary Institute has classes, and they have, people rent that space out. So they've basically said that doesn't function on that calendar for them. So, we can, since I have a team that's going around checking places out, I will send them over to Hilton Head to inquire more. We'll inquire more about that room, and let's see what we can do there at the high school. And if not, we can always go back to creative arts, although the sound isn't great there. That's the challenge, but we can always go back to creative arts. So in the meantime, we're going to try to see what that high school room looks like, and see if that's a possibility and if it's big enough.
Well, the one that I was talking about, and apparently it had something to do with Derek Rhodes, they paid to put this all in for the purpose of doing video conferencing. And it's at
Ingrid, let's not get into the specifics.
No, just let him know it's at the elementary.
Yeah, he can go figure that out.
Yeah.
So let's, as the agenda topic, say something to the effect of, I guess we're going to say discussion of recording board meetings starting February 1.
Is it recording or meeting location?
Well, it's both. They're tied together.
Because the recording can happen anywhere, but it's actually, because we can record it, but it's whether you want it live and if we're going to meet like somewhere on Hilton Head. So it basically would be, you're concerned about the meeting location.
Both. So
Okay.
Discussion, you can say, put both on then, meeting location and recording of board meetings. Because they're tied together. And I think we need to know, and probably Wendy's still here. I think we need to know what is required by South Carolina FOIA. I don't think it has to be live. Is live ideal? Yes, it's live.
It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
When
So,
we posted, hoping we can live stream.
right, I agree, but what is the, we need to know exactly what is the requirement? I know
Board members, I
we
think
have
the
to
best,
hear and they have to hear. That's probably the single most important thing, I think.
I think that we need to have it live where people are able to hear what's going on at the time of the meeting. And we've always had our meetings live streamed, so we need to try to keep it the way that we're doing it, where the public has access. The best thing we can do is to make everything available to the public. Transparency. I don't know if we could do something with YouTube or Facebook Live. I don't know what options we have, but it seems like there's got to be a way to be able to have our meetings available.
The meetings are the meetings we record the meetings now on YouTube Live when the county is not available. We do that here at the district office, particularly for our committee meetings. So that is something that it's already done. Your
But
issues
that's
with,
not live, is it?
yes, it's on YouTube Live. There's YouTube Live. Yes, ma'am, it
Okay.
is.
But can people interact with you? No.
No, ma'am, they cannot.
No. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. They could call in for the, for the
They could
comment.
call in for public comment.
How
All
much
right.
time?
So I have a feeling that could be 30 minutes, that could be 1 hour. It's depends on what we know. Okay. I don't think we can do anything else on this day.
Mhm.
So do the committee members have anything, else to bring up tonight?
No, ma'am.
No. And how about the non-committee board members that are participating? Would any of you like to say anything?
Everyone have a nice night.
Thanks, Ingrid.
Night.
Let's see.
All right, so now the
Thank you.
committee has to decide when our next meeting is.
Let's see.
While Robin's
Got it.
checking, I emailed Mr. Bechtel, but he did not respond. But he
Okay.
was planning with his team to be there right after the CRACE training, so.
Are you all available Monday, January 30th for the February 7th board meeting?
Yeah, I am.
Absolutely.
So Monday, January 30th at 5 is fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
For
ma'am.
me,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, okay.
And Dick?
Me, yes. Mhm.
All right, and we'll continue to have it via Zoom. Is
Yes.
that good for everyone too? Yep, okay. All right, so the next meeting for the agenda setting will be Monday, January 30th at 5 p.m. via Zoom. Do we
For
have any
the
other,
February 7th board meeting.
correct? Do we have any other business that we need to attend to tonight?
No, ma'am.
So all in favor of adjourning, we can adjourn by unanimous consent.
Aye.
Good night, everyone. Thank
Good
you.
night.
Good night.
Your
Good
contribution.
evening.